been given the bye into the next round, so we're just going to go on time qualifiers, as we did with the 100s yesterday and the 400s. That's the competition format here at the Commonwealth Games.
Athletes out on the track then for this first of 6 heats in the women's 200 metres. There's Beyoncé de Freitas of the British Virgin Islands. Went out in the heats of the 100 here, twice their national champion. Trinidad and Tobago's Reese Webster, she too went out in the heats here. 23.05 for best time, and that was this year. She ran that back in April, late April, in the USA where she's at college, the 24-year-old. So Alison Bell of Scotland goes in lane 2. She's a 23.01 performer, that from last year. In 3 there, Bell to the right of picture, top right of picture. Webster of Trinidad and Tobago goes in 3. Then the Maldives Ziva Musa goes in lane 4. She too went out in the 100 heats, but and a personal best, Natasha Chetty of Seychelles. She likewise another athlete who exited the competition from the 100 heats. So we are starting from the outside. There's Beyoncé de Freitas, we saw on the outside. Issatu Sey of Gambia goes in lane 7, disqualified from the African Championship 200 final back in May. Abigail Paulett, better known perhaps as a heptathlete. She's the Welsh athlete, goes in lane 6. There's a nice lane draw, 23.01. Hasn't run a 200 this year. There's Chetty, Natasha Chetty of the Seychelles. Went out in qualifying in the Commonwealth Games high jump back in 2022. Ziva Musa of Maldives, as I said, by her standards, a good 100, but she went down the heats here. Reese Webster of Trinidad and Tobago, second in her heat in 11.63 in the heats of the 100 where she went out. She has run 23.05, and Alison Bell of Scotland, listen to this. Good crowd here on the 2 bends. Runs for Giffnock North Athletics Club and attended Edinburgh University, did Alison Bell. She shared a flat actually with fellow Scottish international, a certain Megan Keith, who ran the 10,000 a couple of nights ago, and triathlete Isla Britton. So Beyoncé de Freitas on the outside.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and please don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. And to my subscribers, thank you so much for your unwavering support, and continue commenting, liking and sharing on the same note. So in today's episode, we are going to watch a very insane 200-meter competition at the Commonwealth Games. Sit tight because I'll be back combing each and every performances, and all credit goes to the original broadcaster of this video.
200s 4 years ago in Birmingham. Just needs to negotiate this first heat of 6 in the women's 200 metres from lane 8. They settle into their blocks now. Top 17-time qualifiers go through from these 6 heats. Nobody guaranteed a spot in the next round in the semi-finals, although really good running from the 2 on the outside. Say of Gambia and de Freitas on the outside of British Virgin Islands. Good running too from Bell on the inside for Scotland in lane 2. She's working harder up against Webster, having a little battle against the Trinidad and Tobago athlete. Really good running on the outside. De Freitas coming here is going to take this from Bell. That's 1, 2 and 3 there in lane 7 is Say for Gambia. Winning time 23.25. Well, de Freitas has gone a little bit quicker than that, but it was a nice win nonetheless. Just waiting for that time to be confirmed. It is 23.25. Bell, 23.38 in second place. That is a season's best for her. Really good from a tight bend in lane 2. She eased away from Webster, the Trinidad and Tobago athlete, very comfortably. Say was third, of course, out in lane 3. She ran 23.76. That for her is a huge season's best and not far off her lifetime best. But none of these athletes can... There it is, de Freitas and Bell, 1 and 2. But Say, who we thought was third, has been disqualified. That's really sad. It must be for stepping on the line to the left of her lane, the inside of her lane on the bend. Really disappointing that for Say. Oh, what a shame for the Gambian.
Here's a look at the 8 women going in the second heat. Mia Gross on to watch for Australia there, the Oceanic champion this year. But starting on the outside, Amanda Kondau of Malawi It's her second Commonwealth Games. She did run a personal best in the 100 of 12.3 earlier on. Elma Cisse of Sierra Leone in the 100 as well. And here is Gross of Australia. 22.90 this season, 22.73 her lifetime best. Imani Kinnon of Montserrat will go in lane 5. She DQ'd in the 400 metres for a lane infringement, so going again here over half a lap. Asila Apkut of Papua New Guinea will go in lane 4. Nyasha Harris of Belize will go in lane 3, 24.93 her best performance. Mamakoli Senani of Lesotho will go in lane 2, so national record holder with 23.63. And Millicent Ndoro of Kenya, she's their national record holder, ran 22.91 in the semi-finals of the Kenyan Championships. She finds herself in lane 1, so Ndoro is going to have to run a very tough bend here, very tight, fast bend to get herself in contention with the likes of Mia Gross and Imani Kinnon. A little bit further out. And these athletes are seeded by their season's best, and then once they're in a heat, it is a random lane assignment in the first round. And that does leave Ndoro of Kenya in lane 1.
Set.
And they're away cleanly here in the second heat of the women's 200 metres. No automatic qualifiers, you can only advance on time. 23.25, the fastest time so far. De Freitas winning the first heat. Mia Gross has had a fantastic bend here, the Australian. Ndoro trying to find something in the last 50 metres. It's these two as they go into the closing stages. And Gross just staying ahead, 23.21. So that's the fastest time we've seen, just by a few hundredths. And Mia Gross looks pretty chuffed with that. And I think Ndoro, Danny, from lane 1, that's a really, really good effort from the Kenyan.
It is a good effort, and it was very unfortunate for her to be drawn in lane 1, and also having Mia so far out in lane 6. But she really executed it well, and it was in the latter stage of the race she really started to pull back. But Mia Gross ran such a fantastic bend and then transitioned into the straight. That was a really, really good performance for her. But of course, none of these athletes are secure yet. They've got to wait for the rest of these heats to unfold.
And Gross, you can see, there's quite a lot of strapping going on her back, perhaps. And they're choosing to run in leggings as well, staying as warm as possible. It makes it look colder than it is. It is only just underneath 20 degrees centigrade. Gross. And I love the commitment there from the Australian, running every inch of the race, going for a dip, because she knows that time will count. And 23.21 at the moment has her fastest, and Millicent Ndoro 23.45. That puts her kind of 4th fastest. But with 6 heats to go and 17 time qualifiers, we'll just leave it a couple of heats until we get a better idea of really who might make that cut into tomorrow's semi-final. What a sight. I think the crowd are going to be incredibly excited to see this man arriving at the stadium.
They are indeed, yes. The man of the moment, the newly crowned world mile record holder. 12 days ago was the London Diamond League, the Saturday before last. Josh Kerr, darling of Scottish sport, never mind about Scottish athletics, darling of UK athletics and maybe of world athletics, because that 3:42 mile at the London Stadium 12 days ago, a new world record, something he'd predicted coming up in those mile heats. They are at 10 past the hour in about 15 minutes local time.
And I love that the officials treating everybody the same, making Josh Kerr take his sunglasses off and match his accreditation photo, even though I'm not sure there's any of the officials or volunteers in this building that wouldn't know what Josh Kerr looked like.
So, the penultimate heat of the women's 200 metres, 6 in total. This is heat 5. Lane 8 there is empty, I think. There was nobody in lane 8, but there is Abby Galpin of Guernsey, semi-finalist of the last Commonwealth Games over 200 metres. 23.9 her lifetime best. Hasn't broken 24 this year. Magnifique Mutasiwaze of Rwanda went down the 100 heats here. holds the national record from her heat in the African Championships back in the middle of May. 24:47. There in lane 5 is the Nigerian Oluyinka Olajide. She's a 23:1 performer. That was a couple of years back now. And then the Jamaican, they're always strong. Lavanya Williams, second in the Jamaican Championships in a personal best of 22:44. That was Mohamed and Laona Mohamed of Maldives. She goes in 3. And then Pereira, Shanti Veronica Pereira of Singapore, 23:26, her best this season. She went out in the heats of the World Championships 200 last year. She'd love to progress from these here. She went out in the heats of the 100 here. This is her better discipline, though, Pereira. She's in lane 2. Tough lane draw for the Singapore athlete, but she's a 22:5 performer. So watch that inside lane, Pereira of Singapore. Mohamed of Maldives goes in 3. Williams of Jamaica 4. Olajide, Nigeria 5. Umutezi Uwaze of Rwanda 6. Galpin in 7 for Guernsey. And O'Connor is a no-show on the outside in the empty lane 8.
Set.
Really good start there in lane 4 from Lavanya Williams of Jamaica. She probably leads at the moment. She's already gone past the Nigerian round the crown of the bend. Big lead being built here, although good running too from Pereira in lane 2 in that red strip for Singapore. Pereira challenging hard here, really working to get back at the Jamaican. This is a nice little battle. It's drawing them well clear of the rest, but it is the win for Williams there from Pereira. 3rd place for the Nigerian Olajide. And the winning time 22:91 with a tailwind of 0.8. That is quick. That's very quick indeed. Her lifetime best 22:44. That came in the warmth of Kingston back in middle of June. But that's a lovely run from Lavanya Williams. It was a nice lane draw, lane 4. She'll be delighted with that. Pereira, great run from her too, to push so hard for 2nd place from lane 2. Williams 22:91. Pereira 23 seconds dead. Has just run a massive season's best for that 2nd spot.
Yeah, that's the first time we've seen any of the women dip under 23 in these heats. But Williams gets a fantastic start, really strong start. But it's just coming off the bend that Pereira really transitions off the bend into the home straight. That's where she starts to close that gap up and give herself that 23 dead and that massive lifetime, that massive season's performance. But Williams looks really smooth throughout the race. She gets a really good start, and then into the bend and the home straight. But it's Pereira coming off that bend for me. That's where she really started to close that gap up a little bit.
Well, she will be a factor, Lavanya Williams. Anybody second in the Jamaican Championships. And look at this. Violetta Luca of Tuvalu treading on the line.
Amani Kinnon of Montserrat with 24:13. Elena Valletta-Young of Fiji in lane 8. Alana Reid of Jamaica. She won their national championships in 22:29, new lifetime best this year. Chloe David of Vanuatu goes in lane 6. Frederic Chausson of Canada in 5, lifetime best 23:08. Asamene Simawaka of Malawi will go in lane 4. She's their national record holder at 22:91. That was a few years ago. Anthony Strawn of Bahamas goes in lane 3. She made the semi-final in this event back in the Gold Coast. Kelly Bentham of Barbados completes the lineup in lane 2. She ran a lifetime best a couple of weeks ago, Bentham. 23:25, but Alana Reid might have just seen her teammate Lavanya Williams run the fastest time of the morning so far at 22:91. And they're away here. It's a strong start from the Jamaican in lane 7. Alana Reid already outside Valletta Young, has flown past the Fijian. Alana Reid going very well into the straight here. I wonder if she'll just start to cruise through the last 50 to win the Jamaican national title over this event. Means you're seriously good, and she's going to become our second athlete to go under 23 seconds. 22.94 for Reid. Just slower than her teammate, but second fastest of the day. And a good run from the Canadian Chasson on her inside.
That was a great performance from Alana Reid, wasn't it? And she looked like she still had more in the tank as well. Coming into those closing stages of the race, she wasn't necessarily looking like she was shutting down, but she also didn't look like she was fighting to get across that line. So she looks like she's got more to offer. That was a great performance by her. The Chasson from Canada as well. Fantastic for her. Just 2 lanes inside. She would have had Reid in her sight. She would have had her around the bend. And as they transition into the home straight, see Chasson working quite hard, just working all the way through to the finish. But Reid just looks really comfortable.
It does. There was close packing behind from Anthony Strawn and from Simwaka of Malawi. Remember that final time qualifying spot was with Bentham 23.96, and I think Bentham would have been nudged out of those spots. But you're right, Danny. Reid looking very relaxed, very composed. The title was won last time we had this championships by Elaine Thompson-Herah. She did the double, the 100-200 double in Birmingham at the Commonwealth Games, so it'll be good footsteps to follow in for anyone, but particularly.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once more, and thank you so much for following through. Please don't forget to subscribe. So if you can agree with me, what happened on this 200-meter track was not just another race. Jamaica stepped onto the track with speed, confidence, and something to prove, and before the dust could even settle, the rest of the field was left chasing shadows. But the biggest question is, could anyone actually stop them? The atmosphere was electric before the athletes even entered the starting blocks. This was the 200 meters, an event where one tiny mistake can completely change everything. One poor start, one mistake on the bend, or one moment of hesitation, and the race can be gone. But Jamaica arrived with a reputation that needed no introduction. The Jamaican athletes looked calm, focused, and ready for business, while competitors from the USA, Canada, and other nations arrived with exactly the same ambition: to challenge Jamaica and take control of the race. As the competition began, it quickly became clear that this was going to be anything but ordinary. Every athlete knew that simply running fast would not be enough. The 200-meter demands speed, patience, technique, and incredible endurance. Coming around the bend, the athletes began opening up their strides, fighting to maintain their speed while positioning themselves for the final straight. And this is where the beauty of the 200 meters came alive. Unlike the 100 meters, you cannot simply explode from the blocks and hope for the best. You have to manage the curve, protect your momentum, and then find another gear when you hit the straight. The early performances began sending a warning. Jamaica was not here just to make up the numbers. The Jamaica athletes looked increasingly confident, and with every race, the pressure on their opponents continued to grow. The other nations were fighting hard, but Jamaica seemed to have an answer every time. The stadium was becoming louder, the competition was getting tougher, and suddenly the question wasn't whether Jamaica could compete. The question was whether anyone could actually keep up. Then came one of those moments every sprint fan waits for. The athletes stepped into their blocks, the noise began to disappear, heads lowered, muscle tightened. Every competitor knew that months and even years of preparation were about to be decided in just a few seconds. Set, boom, they exploded from the blocks. The acceleration was incredible. Everyone attacked the bend, trying to maintain perfect form while conserving enough energy for the final straight. But as they came out of the curve, the race began to change. The athletes started opening their strides and the Jamaican challenge became impossible to ignore. Arms pumping, knees driving, bodies leaning forward, the battle was now fully underway. And then came the home straight. This is where champions separate themselves from everyone. Some runners begin to fade, others desperately try to hold their position, but the strongest athletes find another gear. Jamaica appeared to have exactly that. The strides became longer and the speed became more frightening, and the gap between the competitors started becoming more noticeable. The crowd reacted as the Jamaican colors surged forward. The message was becoming very clear: if you want to beat Jamaica in the 200 meters, you better bring something special. But behind every spectacular performance is a story that goes far beyond the track. When we watch these athletes race, we see only a few seconds of action. We don't see the early morning training sessions, the sacrifices, the injuries, the disappointments, or the countless hours spent preparing for one opportunity. We don't see the moments when an athlete has to get back up after losing a race or fighting through difficult circumstances. For Jamaica, there is another layer of pressure. The country has produced some of the greatest sprinters the world has ever seen. The history creates enormous expectations every time a Jamaican athlete steps onto the track. But rather than running away from the pressure, Jamaica seems to use it as a fuel. The famous Jamaican sprinting confidence was once again on display, and when raw speed meets confidence, the results can be very terrifying for the competition. As the decisive stage approached, the atmosphere became even more intense. There were no more excuses and no second chances. This was about execution. The athletes had trained for this exact moment, and now everything had to come together. And the cameras captured the final preparation: focused faces, deep breaths, last adjustments, and then silence. They set and went. Once again, the athletes attacked the track. The opening strides were aggressive, but everyone knew the real battle would come later. Around the bend, the runners fought to maintain their rhythm. Then, as they entered the straight, everything opened up. The Jamaican athletes pushed harder. The competitors refused to surrender. The crowd erupted. Every step mattered. Every fraction of a second mattered, and as they approached the finish line, there were absolutely nothing left to save. This was about pride, national colors, and proving who could handle pressure when everything was on the line. And then it was over. Just like that, years of preparation had been reduced to a few seconds of explosive speed. Some athletes celebrated, others stood exhausted, trying to catch their breath, and they processed what had just happened. But every competitor would walk away knowing they had given everything. For Jamaica, however, the performance sent another powerful message. The country's sprinting tradition is not simply a chapter in history; it is still alive, and the next generation is determined to keep that tradition going. The US can bring its biggest stars, Canada can bring its strongest challengers, but the rest of the world can arrive with confidence and ambition. But when Jamaica steps onto the track, nobody can afford to relax, because Jamaican sprinting has built a reputation for producing athletes who can turn pressure into performance. And perhaps that is what makes the 200-meter showdown so fascinating. It wasn't simply about who was fastest. It was about preparation, confidence, determination, and the ability to deliver when the entire world is watching. For a few moments, the track became a battlefield. Every stride was a statement, every acceleration was a warning, and when the dust finally settled, Jamaica had once again reminded the sprinting world that its speed is not something to be taken lightly. So now the question goes to you: was this another sign that Jamaica is entering a new golden era of sprinting? or can the USA and Canada come back even stronger and turn the tables next time? Let me know in the comment section, and please comment, like and share. And if you enjoyed this incredible sprint showdown, don't forget to like and most importantly subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next show. Thank you so much for watching, and see you till the next video.